I hope at least from this far away you can't see how bad I've done my makeup, because it's been a struggle today, I'll tell you that. Hi cuties, welcome to a weird video where I tell you more about my books, more about the characters in my books, by telling you which Disney princess each of them are. Because I love Disney princesses and I love my characters contrary to what happens to them in the books. It may not look like I love them, but I love some of them. I had this idea when I think I was on a live stream or something, and Hala, who is a super Disney nerd, was like, you should make all your characters Disney characters. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm like, let's go a step further and limit myself to only Disney princesses, because that's what I care about mostly in the Disney world. It's what I've always cared about mostly in the Disney world. I never really related to like the animal Disney movies. I didn't really care for them. I never really watched them. I watched the princess movies because I was a princess, okay? I'm a princess. That's what we're going to talk about today, is being a princess and which of my characters are princesses. Now, this is not necessarily the official Disney princess lineup, but we are using just main female protagonists mostly that I love, because not the official Disney princess lineup doesn't really include some of the ways that my characters would be interpreted if they were interpreted, that's a word. Hi, I'm a writer. See these books, I've written these books, and they have real words in them that make sense, I promise. What was I saying? I don't even know what I was saying. Let's just get into this, okay? We're Disney-fying, we're princess Disney-fying my character. I usually go in order with like my main character, and then here I'm gonna go backwards. I'm gonna go from my, I don't know. I'm just gonna go from this list and then up. That's what I'm gonna do. Who knows? I have no organization today. Okay, but I'm wearing the crown, so I get to decide. So first up, we're going to talk about Avery. So Avery, this is where you're like, that's not a princess, it's a fairy. And Avery's Tinkerbell. Okay, Avery is Tinkerbell, and that's just how this is. So Avery is a dark elf creature. He is a Spriggan, and you don't really know which way he's gonna go. You're not quite sure if he's on the good side or the bad side. He's got some ulterior motives. He's very self-serving. He really can only experience one emotion at a time, much like a Tinkerbell. So I'm saying Avery is Tinkerbell. Moving on to one of my personal favorite characters, we have Darren. Darren is a very mysterious kind of character. She does her own thing. She is very self-sufficient and wants to, you know, run off into the sunset with her hair blowing in the wind. So she's Merida. Yeah, if anyone was gonna accidentally turn their mom into a bear, it would have been Darren. But I just feel like they have very similar personalities where they're very self-sufficient. They don't need nobody. They could have them if they want them, but they don't need them. And she gets herself into trouble because she's also somewhat of a chaotic creature and just wants to do her own thing and doesn't want anyone telling her what to do, okay? She's doing her own thing. And next up is my other favorite character to write, and that is Altair. My nerdy Altair, my alchemist Altair, who is bright and sunshiny and just wants to read. So can you guess who he is? If you guess Belle, you're correct. Altair is very much Belle, which in pairing-wise, that makes somebody else the Beast, which is super funny to think about. But that's not how their relationship is. But as a character, Altair is very much Belle. He just wants to read his books, he wants to go on the adventures, he really wants to live his life. And he's Belle. He's just Belle. Which is also one of my favorite Disney princesses, so it's no shock there that he turns out to be one of them. Taliba! So with Taliba, she was a little bit harder for me to pin down which Disney princess she is. And that is because she's not really a princess, because Taliba, again, very self-sufficient character. She gets in trouble, she can handle it. She doesn't need no man saving her. She's not a damsel in distress. She may be a damsel, she may be in distress, but she's got this, okay? And that is why she is. Taliba is Megara very much so. She's got the kind of snarkier attitude towards everyone else. She really owns who she is, you know? She's got this. She's had to deal with life on her own for a long time, hasn't led her to all the greatest decisions. She may have some sort of other worldly creature breathing down her neck, making her do certain things. But Taliba's Megara. Cindy! So Cindy, I had a couple ideas of who Cindy could be. Cindy is like actual Disney princess age because she is my one real teenage character. She is my teenage werewolf. I was trying to figure out I was rotating between a few different Disney princesses for who she really is, but I have settled upon Moana. Cindy and Moana have very similar takes. They really want to prove themselves. They have these passions inside of them. They just really want to prove themselves as someone strong, someone to be respected, and will do what it takes to do the right thing. And Cindy and Moana, I think, would get along great. I think they'd be great friends. Possibly more, honestly. But Cindy, I think, is definitely Moana, though. She has, I can definitely see Cindy singing her song. I can definitely picture that. But yeah, Cindy is definitely Moana in attitude. That's for sure. Moving on to Hal, my warlock Hal. Hal was one of the most difficult ones to think of who he is, but then I had to go way back in Disney time to figure it out, and that is because Hal is one of the pinnacle princesses herself. Hal is Cinderella. Okay, hear me out, okay? He grew up in an environment that was not great. He was part of the Onyx Desert Coven, which didn't really treat him great, which is why he left to be with his true love, okay? He gave up that family, the toxic family, to be with his true love. Granted, he trapped her soul in a mirror. We're not talking about the toxic relationship. We're just talking about his personality himself. He does his own magic, much like Cinderella with her own, talking to animals magic. I'm saying that was magic. I'm sorry. How is Cinderella from rags to riches to what happens later? We don't need to talk about what happens to Hal. Sadie! So the ghost girl trapped in a mirror. This is why oh god, I just realized how bad this is, because now this makes Hal Mother Gothel. But Sadie herself is Rapunzel. So Sadie does spend most of her time in the first book, at least, trapped in a mirror, like she's trapped in a tower, just living life, stuck with Hal because he, trapped her soul so that he could eventually help to resurrect her. I'm just thinking of the implications. Okay, I didn't think about them. But Sadie is very light and fun and experiences the world with a somewhat naivete that she's not really naive, but she is very sweet and innocent and does learn her own street smarts eventually. You'd think after how many times she dies in this thing. But she's just Rapunzel. She is the essence of a Rapunzel character, and I guess Hal is now Mother Gothel. Maybe I should do a Disney villains versions of this if all my characters were Disney villains. Maybe that's it, but there's Hal. He's Mother Gothel. Sen. So Sen was another very tricky one to pick out. He also is going to be one of the most iconic Disney princesses, and honestly, it's my least favorite Disney princess, but when you think about it, this works. So I'm gonna defend this. Sen is Snow White. I know what you're thinking. Hear me out. Sen is a fairy, so he's got that for him. He ends up being kind of the gardener caretaker of Ashport once he's in, so he is kind of taking care of all these, 7 little dwarfs, because everyone's shorter than him anyway. He is the prettiest one. In the entire cast, Sen is the prettiest. I'm gonna say. He's the prettiest one. Editing cue here. One of the other obvious reasons that Sen is Snow White is they're both kind of the exiled princess, because Sen is an exiled fairy captain guard, and Snow White is the exiled princess. So there's that too, duh. Nigel! So Nigel is a vampire. He's a young vampire. He doesn't know any better. He may fall in love a little too fast. and he may really want to experience the world that he just can't be a part of. But he wanted to, and it led him down the path to becoming a vampire instead of being part of that world. He's Ariel, yes. I hope you guys were already getting that. But yes, Nigel is Ariel. The little naive Ariel who wants to be part with the humans, except Nigel wanted to be part of the conservators, and that led him to accidentally getting bit and becoming a vampire. And he falls in love with another character a little bit, and when things happen to other character, he will do anything to save them to a point where it's very dangerous and reckless. And that's why Ariel is kind of a dangerous and reckless character, which makes Nigel more Ariel than any other Disney princess. There you are. Colt? Colt was my most difficult one. And I can't believe it was that difficult because the answer is so obvious as to who he is. Because he's my broody character, you know, he's the dark past, he's the one who doesn't really want to involve a lot of people, he wants to keep this small, he wants to keep his secrets, obviously, and it struck me like lightning, he's Elsa, okay? Conceal, don't feel, don't let them know. And that's really, he's holding in his secrets about his, you know, demonic heritage, and he's holding in his secret feelings about other characters. And gosh, it's perfect. It's a perfect fit. Colt is Elsa. He just needs to let it go. And finally, we get to Levin. So, of all the Disney princesses, who's missing, guys? Who's one of my most favorite iconic princesses? Because Belle is like my second favorite, my absolute #1 top favorite. And that's why apparently Levin ended up like this. This wasn't a ranking of, you know, my favorite Disney princesses, because Snow White would be at the way bottom of this list. But Levin just happened to turn out to be my absolute favorite Disney princess. And that is Mulan. Levin is Mulan because Levin too defies parents, defies everything, is gonna do her own thing. She does what she has to. She will go off on her own to do it. She believes in what she believes in very strongly, which can be a fault to her. And it is big time in the 4th book. It's one of the biggest faults she has and faces in book 4. But overall, character-wise, Mulan and Levin have very similar personalities. And that's where she comes into being Mulan. Levin is Mulan. There you go. And that is Disney-fying my characters. They're all princesses, except I'm the queen. Alright, so there you guys have it. What do you think? Do you agree with me? Do you think, I mean, I am the creator of my characters, so obviously my word is law when it comes to my books, but you know, you can interpret them your own way too. I'll agree to that if you've read my books and you're like, no, you're way off about Sen. Fine. Prove me wrong. Tell me you know my characters better than me. Okay. Other authors out there, I encourage you, tell them, I want to learn what Disney princesses your characters are. Let me know. You can just put them in the comments below or make your own video and tag me in it so I can see. I think this was really fun to do. So there you have it. If you have any further questions or comments, put them down below or on Facebook, Tumblr, and Twitter. Bye!